for sign language interpretation and translation. Nigeria's President-elect Bola Tinubu will relocate to a military facility in the capital, Abuja, ahead of the swearing-in ceremony, according to his campaign team. The President-elect will be moving into Defense House in Maitama FCT, where he will spend the next couple of months, and from where he will move into the presidential villa. It did not specify when Mr. Tinubu will move to the facility. The president-elect will receive briefings and hold key meetings at the location, according to a local newspaper. Outgoing President Muhammadu Buhari had also moved into the facility ahead of his swearing-in May 2015. Mr. Tinubu of the ruling APC party was declared the president election winner with 37%. Opposition parties have said they will challenge the result in court. They will have 21 days from the day of the results were announced to challenge the result at Nigeria's highest appeal court. In North Africa, the Tunisian authorities have banned an opposition rally that was due to take place on Sunday. Members of the opposition coalition that called it are suspected of crimes against the state. Tunisian officials said the coalition's request for the rally had not been approved, as some of its leaders are suspected of plotting against state security. In the past month, the authorities have launched a wave of arrests of key figures, including rivals and critics of President Kais Saied, with dozens of them held. On Thursday, police arrested Sadok Churu and Habib Elouz, two senior officials of the main opposition party, Ennahda. The party said the arrests were meant to terrorize the opposition and called on Tunisians to join the planned protests. The country has been in deepening political and economic crisis amid protests by Tunisians frustrated with the economy and against Mr. Said's near total power. In Europe, Russian President Vladimir Putin says a Ukrainian sabotage group entered the Russian border region on yesterday and opened fire on civilians in a terrorist act. The governor of Bryansk region said saboteurs from the Ukraine had fired at a civilian car in a certain place, a border village, killing 2 men and wounding a 10-year-old boy. Kyiv strongly denied the Russian claim. The alleged incident had not been independently verified. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, tweeted that it was a classic deliberate provocation. And he added that Russia wants to scare its people to justify the attack on another country. In the United States, 2 men in the state of Arkansas have been arrested on suspicion of illegally sending aviation technology to Russia. Cyril Gregory, who is age 59, and Douglas Robertson, who is age 55, owned and operated the Canrus Trading Company. The two conspired to skirt U.S. export laws to sell sophisticated aviation equipment to Russia, according to the U.S. Department of Justice. If convicted, they face a maximum of 20 years in prison for exporting controlled goods without a license. They are also charged with conspiracy, falsifying, and failing to file electronic export information and smuggling goods contrary to the U.S. law. And the death toll from Tuesday's train crash in Greece has increased to 57, according to a coroner who was addressing the press. Eleni, one of 10 coroners working on the investigation, said DNA had been taken from 58 intact bodies. A government minister said austerity during Greece's economic crisis in the 2000s had contributed to a lack of investment in the railways. Rail workers held a one-day strike yesterday following the disaster, blaming government neglect. More than 2,000 people protested for a second day in Athens and Thessaloniki, shocked by the disaster near the city of Larissa. And in the United Kingdom, former Health Secretary Matt Hancock mocked people in quarantine during lockdown and suggested getting heavy with police, according to leaked texts. Messages published by the Telegraph seems to show Mr. Hancock joking with a top aide about travelers being locked up in a shoebox hotel rooms. He suggests police chiefs should be told to enforce more strongly. Other texts show Boris Johnson describing a £10,000 fine on 2 people who broke quarantine rules as superb. They are the latest in a slew of revelations to come from the leak. Cambodia's most prominent opposition leader has been sentenced to 27 years under house arrest for treason. Kem Sokha, the former leader of the now dissolved Cambodian National Rescue Party, has also been barred from standing or voting in elections. He was accused of conspiring with the foreign powers to overthrow Prime Minister Hun Sen's government. Hun Sen is one of the world's longest-serving autocrats who has been in power since 1985. Cambodia will hold a general election in July. Most expect he will run again, although some believe he is planning to hand over power to his eldest son, Han Manet. And finally, a powerful South Carolina lawyer has been found guilty of murdering his wife and son to distract from his multi-million-dollar financial crimes. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours before convicting Alex Murdaugh, who is age 54, of 2 counts of murder at the end of a 6-week trial. He faces 30 years in jail to life in prison without parole for each murder charge. Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were shot at close range near the dog kennels on their family estate on the 7th of June 2021. Alex Murdaugh stood impassively as he learned his fate during last evening's hearing in Walterboro. Well, that brings us to the end of this afternoon's news in brief. Thank you for watching Channel 44. I remind you that tonight is a miracle overnight here at the Miracle Center Cathedral. We have had a great time in the presence of God every night here at the cathedral. That's why I invite you. Come expecting a miracle. Come expecting an encounter with God. There's going to be dream interpretation. There's going to be a lot happening in the spiritual realm. Bring the sick, bring the lame. There's going to be healing. We have seen very many testimonies. Come and hear testimonies for yourself, and you will be tremendously blessed. We start with great praise and worship. Hours of praise and worship, of encountering the presence of God, and surely we never live the same again. I remain Mercy Gashegu Sembatia together with Livingstone Kawesi. Pastor Jessica Kayanja is coming up next with the lunch hour program. In this program, she ministers to everyone, not only women, but everyone. So stay tuned. Or you can visit our YouTube channels on Robert Kayanja Ministries and Pastor Jessica Kayanja on YouTube and Facebook. Or you can join us here on Channel 44 TV on different platforms. I will be bringing them to you later on. We'll return at 4 p.m. with business news. Stay tuned to Channel 44.